Hello and welcome back to Wisdom Uploaded. I'm your host, and if you're joining us again, well, you know the drill.
We're both from the team here at Digital Time Savers, or DTS.
And our job is pretty simple. We sift through all the noise, the white papers, the dense algorithm updates to bring you the strategies that, actually move the needle for your business.
That's it, exactly. No fluff, just the mechanics of what is actually working right now. And today we're doing a deep dive into a crisis that is quietly killing a lot of e-commerce businesses in 2026.
We're calling this escaping the ad treadmill.
The ad treadmill.
It's such a vivid image, isn't it? And frankly, it's one that matches the anxiety we hear on discovery calls almost every single week.
Oh, yeah.
I want to start with a specific scenario, one that I think is going to resonate maybe a little uncomfortably with a lot of store owners listening.
Okay, let's set the scene.
All right, picture this. You're an e-commerce founder. It's Tuesday morning, you've got your coffee, you open your laptop, check your dashboard, and on paper, things look good. Meta is reporting a ROAS, a return on ad spend of 3.2. Google Shopping is holding strong at 4.1. Revenue is steady, but then you tab over to your actual bank account.
The moment of truth.
And the cash just isn't there. You feel stuck, stagnant. There's this massive disconnect between what the ad manager says and what the bank balance says.
That disconnect is the million-dollar mystery for so many brands, or maybe the missing $1 million. What you're describing is the textbook definition of the ad treadmill.
Okay.
It's a state where your top-line revenue might be steady or even growing, but your actual profit, the money you keep to pay yourself and grow the business, is completely flatlining.
And the terrifying part is that feeling of entrapment, Dro. You know that the second you pause those ads to try and save some margin, poof.
The revenue just falls off a cliff. Precisely. You aren't building equity in a brand. You're essentially paying rent to the platform.
You're a tenant in Mark Zuckerberg's house.
Exactly. And today, our mission is to outline how you become an owner. We're going to unpack the technical shifts that caused this, specifically that Andromeda update from late 2024.
Right.
We'll look at the scaling paradox, and most importantly, we're going to break down the specific sustainable mix we implement at DTS to get clients off that treadmill for good.
I love that framing, moving from renter to owner. So let's start with the diagnosis. I think a lot of people assume that if the ads are generating sales, they're winning.
Of course.
It's hard to admit something is broken when those Shopify notifications are pinging.
Yeah.
So how do we distinguish between healthy scaling and this dangerous dependency?
It's subtle, because paid ads are supposed to be a growth engine. They're a rocket booster. But for so many stores, the relationship has inverted.
Oh, so?
The booster has become the only engine. Looking at our internal data, there are 3 clear red flags we look for during an audit.
Okay, walk us through them. What are the symptoms?
So the first is what we call volatility tolerance. If you cannot take a month off ad spend without your business facing a catastrophic collapse, you're dependent.
And you don't mean growth just slows down?
No, you can't make payroll. That is a fragility issue.
That's a huge one. It's like living paycheck to paycheck, but for a whole business.
Exactly. The second flag is margin compression. Your ROAS is staying flat, but your net profit margin is shrinking quarter over quarter. You're on the treadmill. You're working harder for the same dollars.
And the third?
The third is the maintenance cost. You find yourself having to spend more budget this month just to hit the exact same revenue numbers you hit last month.
That is the clearest sign that your efficiency is eroding. You're running faster just to stay in the same place.
And that erosion, it isn't just bad luck or, bad creative. The macro data supports this. We've been tracking customer acquisition cost CAC trends from 2023 through 2025. The numbers are brutal.
How brutal?
CAC has risen by roughly 40% in that 2-year window.
40%. That's not a rounding error. That completely destroys your unit economics.
It really does. Think about it in practical terms. If it used to cost you $30 to acquire a new customer, it now costs you $42.
Wow.
That's an extra $12 straight out of your pocket on every single order. And if your average order value hasn't gone up by $12 to match it, you're eating that loss directly from your bottom line.
And we know why this is happening generally. Inflation, more competition. But there's a technical layer to this, right?
What?
Specifically around data loss. We can't talk about ad costs in 2026 without talking about privacy.
Right. This is what we call the single point of failure risk. If you're 90% dependent on paid ads, you're 90% dependent on the platform's ability to track users.
Which is getting harder and harder.
It's almost impossible. Since Apple introduced App Tracking Transparency (ATT) back in 2021, the landscape has shifted permanently. As of early 2026, something like 95% of U.S. users opt out of tracking.
95%. That is essentially a data blackout.
It is. So attribution, knowing exactly which ad caused which sale, is incredibly messy. You're paying more to acquire the customer, and you have less data to prove where they even came from.
So you're building your house on a foundation that's getting 40% more expensive and 95% less transparent.
That's the perfect way to put it.
That explains the anxiety store owners feel. It's not just that ads are expensive, it's that the entire feedback loop is broken.
Yeah.
Now, I want to pivot to something you mentioned in the intro, Andromeda. A lot of advertisers felt the ground shift beneath them in late 2024. What actually happened inside Meta's black box?
Andromeda was the internal code name for just a massive overhaul of Meta's retrieval and ranking engine. To give you a sense of the scale, Meta's own engineering team said that the new system represented a 10,000x increase in model complexity.
10,000 times the complexity. That sounds impressive. But for the media buyer sitting at their desk trying to sell sneakers, what did that actually change in their day-to-day?
It fundamentally changed the definition of targeting. If you've been in e-commerce for a few years, you remember the old way.
Oh.
You'd go into Ads Manager, you'd build audiences manually, you'd look for people who like golf, or women aged 25, 34 who buy organic dog food. You, the human, set the parameters.
Right, finding the winning audience, that was the whole job. We spent hours testing interest groups.
Well, Andromeda flipped that completely.
No.
The algorithm is now too complex for those manual inputs to be efficient. Now, the system reads your creative to find the audience.
You're creative.
Yeah, it scans the visuals, it parses the copy, the tone, even the pacing of a video. It uses all those signals to determine who sees the ad.
So the creative's the targeting now.
Exactly. If you put up a video of a dog running through a park, the AI analyzes the pixels, it identifies dog, park, active lifestyle, and it goes out and finds users who engage with that visual style.
So your job isn't to tell Meta who to find.
Nope. Your job is to feed Meta enough creative diversity so it can find them for you.
This sounds more efficient in theory. Let
Yeah.
robot do the work, but I know it came with a really nasty side effect, burnout.
Oh, the burnout rate skyrocketed. Before Andromeda, a winning creative, what we call a hero ad, might run profitably for 4, maybe 6 weeks. You could set it and forget it for a month.
And now?
Now, with Andromeda, ads fatigue in 2 to 3 weeks.
That effectively doubles the workload for the creative team. You're on a constant content hamster wheel.
It does, and there's an algorithmic penalty if you don't keep up. Andromeda prioritizes diversity. So if your ad account has high creative similarity, meaning all your ads look kind of the same, the system actually penalizes you with higher CPMs. It charges you more to show your ads because it deems them less engaging to the user base.
So the requirement is make better ads, make more of them, make them different from each other, and do it twice as fast.
Correct. Success now demands high volume and high diversity. For a brand trying to do this manually or with a small team, it's overwhelming. That operational drag is a huge part of the treadmill. You're exhausted just keeping the ads running.
Which brings us to the economic trap. We call it the scaling paradox. This is something we have to explain to clients constantly, and it's always a tough conversation.
Yeah, it is.
There's this belief that ad spend is linear. If I spend $5,000 and get a 4x return, I should be able to spend $50,000 and get a 4x return.
It's a totally logical assumption. If you buy 10 widgets, you pay for 10 widgets.
Yeah.
But buying attention is different. Ad scaling is logarithmic, not linear.
Okay, break that down for us. Why does the math break at high volume?
Think of your potential customers like apples on a tree. When you start spending, the algorithm is you, standing on the ground. You grab the low-hanging fruit.
Easy pickings.
The easiest. These are people who are actively looking for your product. They're ready to buy. They're cheap to acquire, and they convert at a high rate. That's your 4x ROAS.
But once you pick those bottom branches clean,
You have to get a ladder. You have to reach higher up the tree to find new customers. These are colder audiences. They aren't looking for you yet. You have to convince them that costs more money.
so the cost per acquisition, the CPA, naturally rises as you spend more.
Exactly. You might start with a $25 CPA. As you scale to get that next batch of customers, you're paying $35, then $40. This is margin compression.
So your revenue line is going up.
But your profit per order is shrinking. You end up with a much larger business that makes the exact same amount of actual profit, or less than when you were smaller.
That is the definition of the paradox. Revenue growth without profit growth. And we haven't even touched on the volatility risk. Spending 50 grand a month exposes you to way more variance than spending 5.
Oh, absolutely. If you're spending heavily, you are exposed. A glitch in the meta delivery system, a seasonal spike in CPMs. A bad week at $50,000 spend is a very different cash flow problem than a bad week at $5,000.
It could wipe out a whole quarter.
It can wipe out a quarter's worth of profit in days.
Okay, we have thoroughly painted the picture of the problem. Rising CAC, aggressive AI, margin compression. It's heavy.
It is.
But at Digital Time Savers, we don't just admire the problem, we solve it. The goal isn't to stop advertising ads are great for speed. The goal is to build a moat around your business.
Right. The pivot here is mental. We need to move from renters to owners. We need to lower the cost of failure. If your ads break, your business shouldn't break with them.
So let's walk through the 3 pillars of the solution we use. The first one is SEO. And I know everyone rolls their eyes at SEO because it feels so slow. But in 2026, we view SEO as durability.
It is the only channel where demand doesn't disappear when the credit card declines. And we're not talking about trying to rank for generic terms like shoes. We focus on high-intent, long-tail search.
Give us an example of what that looks like in practice.
Sure. We had a client selling ergonomic office furniture. The ad costs for the keyword office chair were just astronomical, totally unprofitable. So we pivoted the strategy to SEO content. We built pages specifically targeting problems like best standing desk under $500 and how to fix lower back pain while gaming.
So specific problems, specific price points.
Exactly. That one standing desk ranking now brings them about 2,000 unique visits per month. That traffic is free. It converts at 4 to 5% because the intent is so high. These people are literally searching for a solution.
And the compounding effect is the key here. Well,
That's the magic. With ads, you pay for a click, you get a visitor, you stop paying, the visitor stops coming. With SEO, you do the work once, write the guide, optimize the page, and the traffic persists. It's an asset you own. It lowers your blended CAC across the whole business.
okay, so SEO brings them in. Pillar 2 is retention, specifically email and SMS.
This is where the profit actually lives. We all know the stat. Acquiring a new customer is 5 to 25 times more expensive than keeping an existing one.
Yeah, but you look at any P&L statement, 90% of the budget goes to acquisition.
It's the thrill of the chase. But what we do is systematize retention. We're not just talking about sending a weekly newsletter here.
So what are we talking about?
We're talking about flows. We worked with an activewear brand, great product, cool vibe, but they were 80% dependent on Facebook ads. We implemented a rigorous post-purchase flow focused on one single metric, driving a second purchase within 60 days.
Why that 60-day window specifically?
The data shows that's the critical window for habit formation. If you can get a customer to buy a second time within 2 months, their lifetime value LTV triples. They become a loyalist. Miss that window, they forget you exist.
So what did the results look like for that brand?
Within 4 months, email was driving 22% of their total revenue.
22%.
That is revenue with a 0 ad cost attached to it.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That means nearly a quarter of their business is insulated from ad cost spikes.
Exactly. It didn't mean they stopped running ads. It meant the ads didn't have to work as hard. They went from surviving on ads to using ads to feed a powerful retention machine.
Love that. Okay, pillar 3. We have durability, SEO, we have retention, email. The third is efficiency, or CRO, conversion rate optimization.
This is all about leverage, getting more juice out of the squeeze. A lot of store owners obsess over getting more traffic when they should be obsessing over the traffic they already have.
The math on this is startlingly powerful when you break it down.
It is. Let's say you have a conversion rate of 2%. If you improve that to just 2.8%, not a miracle, just a solid bump, you have just increased your revenue by 40%.
With no extra ad spend.
Not a single extra dollar on Google or Meta.
And usually the fixes aren't some kind of magic. They're technical, right?
Often, yes. Shopify released research showing that a 1-second speed improvement on your site can boost conversions by 7%. speed kills or, lack of speed kills sales.
We saw this recently with a client, didn't we?
We did. A brand with about 50,000 monthly visitors. Their mobile site was just clunky. We simplified the navigation, we cleaned up the checkout flow to reduce friction, optimized image loading.
And the result.
They jumped from a 1.9% conversion rate to 2.6%.
That's a 37% revenue jump.
From the exact same traffic. That is how you break the dependency. You make every single visitor worth more to you than they are to your competitor. It gives you the margin to weather the storms.
So putting this all together, we aren't saying delete your Facebook ad account. We're talking about balance. What does a healthy, sleep well at night store actually look like in 2026?
We aim for a specific breakdown with our clients. We call it the sustainable mix.
Walk us through the percentages.
Ideally, you want paid ads, your accelerator, to drive about 40 to 50% of your revenue. That's healthy. It allows for growth. It just shouldn't be 80 or 90%.
Right. It needs to be the topping, not the whole pizza.
Then you want organic search or foundation to be contributing 25 to 35%. You want email and SMS, your profit center, to be 15 to 20%. And the rest, 5 to 10%, comes from social, referral, and direct traffic.
If you hit those numbers, a bad week on Meta isn't a death sentence. It's just an annoyance.
Exactly. You have options. You aren't fragile anymore. You move from being a glass vase to being a rubber ball. You bounce back.
I want to challenge our listeners right now. We have a test for you. We call it the 1-month test.
This is the moment of truth.
Here is the question. Could your business survive 1 month with 0 paid ads?
And let's be very clear on the definition of survive. We don't mean thrive. We don't mean hit record growth.
We mean, can you cover payroll? Can you pay your suppliers? Can you keep the lights on?
For 30 days with the ad tap turned off?
If the answer to that question is no, then I have some tough love for you.
You aren't running a business with paid ads. You're running paid ads with a business attached.
Running paid ads with a business attached. That is a profound distinction. It sounds inverted, but that's exactly what the treadmill is. You're just an arbitrage machine, not a real brand.
It is. And in 2026, with the way costs are moving and algorithms are shifting, that is a very, very dangerous place to be.
So let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot today. The Andromeda update, rising CAC, the power of SEO and retention. But if there's one thing you want the listener to take away from this, what is it?
It's that paid ads are for acceleration, not foundation. The winners in this new landscape are not the ones with the biggest ad budgets. They're the ones building systems. Systems like SEO, strong brand identity, and email flows that work whether ad costs go up, down, or completely sideways.
Absolutely. And look, here at Digital Time Savers, our core values are empathy and transparency. We tell you this stuff, the hard truth about dependency, not to scare you, but because we want you to win.
We want you to have a business that lasts, not one that just burns bright for 6 months and then crashes when the algorithm changes.
We see the data every day. The stores that diversify are the ones that are safer and, frankly, much more profitable in the long run.
They really are.
So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh man, I am definitely on the treadmill, don't panic, but do take action. We invite you to connect with us at Digital Time Savers.
Book a discovery call. We can look at your specific numbers, your CAC, your retention rates, and help design a balanced growth strategy that's tailored to your store. Let's get you to that sustainable mix.
Sustainable growth is just better growth. Thank you so much for tuning in to Wisdom Uploaded.
Thanks for listening.
One final thought before you go, and this is something to chew on. We talk a lot about algorithms today, Andromeda and all that. But ask yourself this, if the algorithm disappeared tomorrow, if Meta and Google just vanished, would your customers still know how to find you? If the answer is no, you don't have a brand, you have a traffic arbitrage. Think about that. We'll catch you on the next one.